go upstairs in the whatever the engine room is called. Today, well, let's first of all thank God it's Friday. I always say that on a Friday, don't know why. But my guest this morning is Comrade Balazaka. He's an oil and gas analyst. He's an expert in, he's an engineer. He's an expert in petroleum, drilling, and all of that. So a fine welcome to you. Good morning, my brother.
Thank you, sir. I'm
so very happy that you're here because it's a subject matter that I know you are enthusiastic about, the general oil sector.
Correct.
Now I don't know how Nigerians have been looking at it. Is it trepidation or what? I'm talking about whether or not they're going to remove fuel subsidy. Because if they do, we've been hearing that the pump price will skyrocket.
Correct.
And that will affect every other thing down the line.
Correct.
And life will become almost unbearable because who will be able to afford a liter at maybe 700 naira or whatever they are projecting it is going to be? So then we heard, is it a bit of relief when we heard the minister? First of all, we heard that this whole thing that particular can has been kicked further down the road. When the president-elect was on the campaign trail, he said, whatever we think, it will have to be removed. There is no going back from there.
Unfortunately.
That is, well, yes. So now I just wanted to ask you, so where are we? Because we've since heard that the Minister of Finance has said that contrary to ideas that are floating out there, there is no reversal of the general policy direction. That's the way it was phrased, to indeed remove the subsidy from fuel. So tell me, can we survive, the life with the way we know it now, if we remove the subsidy on fuel, and theoretically,
Never.
Fuel becomes 700-800 naira a liter or whatever it is?
Never.
We cannot survive.
This country will grind and collapse into the value. Quote me.
But that's not what all economic experts are saying.
No. You see, there is a big difference between people who are talking theoretically and somebody that has practical knowledge.
Okay.
That's what we're discussing here.
Yeah.
Let me explain to you, sir, with due respect, the biggest mistake this country will make, especially our economic and political leaders, is for them to be looking at just that 6 trillion or 8 trillion naira they think they will save from removal of subsidy on the only remaining product called PMS. If they try doing that, the political, social, security, and economic anarchy that they will throw this country into will be 10 times more than that 8 trillion naira that they are thinking they will save. And let me explain, sir.
But before you even go further, let me just throw in one here. It's been said that the fellow Nigerians, this fuel subsidy that we are talking about, it is not you fellow Nigerians that are enjoying it. It is the moneyed class.
It's a lie.
So you will not enjoy it.
It's a lie. So let me explain. We have been deceived. They said there was going to, first of all, every time I use the word distillates, I'm referring, we will later remind me to talk about petrochemicals.
Okay.
But now we're concentrating on refined petroleum products, the products of refineries, not petrochemicals later. So, but sir, what is happening is this. We were deceived. At a point, we were told that before the removal of subsidy on the price of diesel, kerosene, and aviation fuel, we were told that once you remove subsidy on the price of diesel, there was going to be competitive pricing. Prices will come down. We will see investors will feel.
I recall that.
At that time, between you and I, a liter of diesel was about 80 naira. Today, a liter of diesel is about 800 naira per liter. Let them show me one investor that has come. All those greenfield refineries they are talking about, let them show us.
So what happened? What went wrong?
The only thing, it was because it was a deception. They were complying with conditions from creditors. Allow us time. I wish we will have 5 hours to discuss this. But that's why...
My worry is that you're using the word deception, and governments don't deceive the citizens.
No, but the only... Let me tell you why in the context of Nigeria there is deception. It is only in the context of Nigeria that we are made to understand that government is not in the business of providing goods and services. And I'm telling you, everywhere you go to, It is the duty of government to provide goods and services, then provide enabling environment for citizens. By the time,
that one I know.
No, well,
that one I know.
I will explain the goods and services. And when they do that, what the citizens need to do is to make sure they comply with their civic responsibilities of paying taxes and levies. And let me explain. It's not the private sector that provides jobs. Allow me please to explain this point. That is why, if you look at government will go and construct roads, and those roads will pass through communities, whether you have armed robbers, you have Yahoo people, you have clerics, you have prostitutes. Because it is the duty of government. If government is supposed to go and put hospitals, they will not say in this hospital, this area, there are criminals. The same thing with schools. But private sectors are after profit maximization and cost minimization. I mean, profit maximization and cost reduction. You understand? And that is why, if you see a private sector person going to your location to establish a refinery or a processing factory, it is not true. He is not doing that because he loves the people of that community or he wants to develop them. It's because his or her feasibility studies have shown that they will maximize profit there and minimize costs. But in the process of doing that, they will employ people looking for human capital to help them maximize. And people and this is mistakenly interpret it as they are just providing jobs. Yes. No, it is what they need to maximize their profit. If there is no profit, they will not go there. But for government, whether you vote for them, you don't vote for them, whether you have criminals in your area, they must construct roads to pass through there. They must go and construct public schools. They must construct public hospitals. They must make sure they have policemen. They have. So these are the things people don't understand.
You are aware that it has often been said that government has no business in business.
That is the error. Let me answer it quickly.
Let me just provide the
let me answer it.
Okay.
Who is constructing, or which organization or body is constructing the airports in Nigeria? Is it a private body? It's the government of a particular country. I don't want to mention it. You know it. So who says government is not in the business of business? We are talking about creativity and dexterity, not docility. You know and I know, as we speak today, it is the government of a particular country that is constructing these fantastic airports we are talking about in Nigeria. And the reason why they do that is because it's government. They are generating the revenues back to their countries, and they are doing the same in Africa. So who says it's not government?
But is that not because we can't help ourselves, so to speak?
If we cannot help ourselves, then we are a collection of melancholies, and that's the area I'm going to. How can we say a country of 200 million citizens with more than 100 universities and polytechnics combined, and we say we cannot provide basic things for ourselves? You see, these are the things that we must fix correct. It will be very, very unfortunate if the incoming government, because my prayer is, because we are loyal citizens, it is our prayer that all those that the Almighty will crown will lead us in national interest. And to me, let me define to them who leaders are. For those that the Almighty will crown, effective 29th May 2023. Leaders are fellow citizens. I know, say you are not a politician. Leaders are fellow citizens, that loyal citizens like you and I elected and handed over our economic, political, and social destinies for them to manage for us in national interest. And to that extent, if they don't do it in national interest, we will criticize them constructively. And based on that, that is what they are supposed to do. Sir, with due respect, as I speak to you now, there are no comatose refineries in Libya. There are no comatose refineries in Saudi Arabia. They don't exist in Malaysia, Iraq, Iran, Indonesia, and Qatar.
So why do we have them?
That is the reason why I'm talking to you about leadership docility. So not that, and remember, all of us, including Nigeria, are members of OPEC. Even if we can't have the knowledge within Nigeria, can't OPEC help us? I'm coming.
When you say leadership docility, does that mean the leadership doesn't know its left from its right?
No,
doesn't know
the
what
truth
to
is
do?
this. The truth is this. There are some probably affiliations that are making this is not to work.
Okay.
And that is the thing. Because I will later ask me to explain how we can fix this. It's an elementary way. Okay, we are also having so much gas, sir. Nigeria also, just the way you have a crude oil cartel called OPEC, there is a gas cartel called Gas Exporting Countries Forum with headquarters in Doha, Qatar. And Nigeria is a member. So Nigeria should be looking as lit as Qatar. I don't get money. I didn't go for Nigerian World Cup. I mean World Cup in Qatar. But for those who went and saw how lit and clean Qatar was, that's how Nigeria is supposed to be, because we also have the gas. But we don't have light in Nigeria. From natural gas, you will get ammonia. From ammonia, you will get urea. From urea, you will get fertilizer. Nigeria is not rich in fertilizer. I come from an area where many of my people are farmers. The bag of fertilizer that used to cost 2,000 Nigerian naira is now more than 20,000 Nigerian naira. We still cannot use our natural gas to drive gas turbines and generate electricity. As I speak to you right now, sir, with due respect, Nigeria is not generating up to 10,000 megawatts of electricity. And based on that...
So what is the NMPC Limited? What is it doing about all of this?
Remind me, and let's talk about PIA, PIB, vandalization, and the rest, and I will answer all those. Okay. So, sir, when you look at it, a lot of people are just looking at they say 8 million naira, 8 trillion naira will be saved if you remove subsidy. What I keep telling people is just like saying, the way you are and I am now, somebody will just come and say, let me create wound on you, and then I will give you drugs or palliative to heal you. The question I keep asking that person, that wound you want to create in me, what if the wound becomes cancerous and you cannot control it? And let everybody explain to me, where are the benefits and the investors that they promise us before they remove subsidy in the price of diesel, aviation fuel, and kerosene? Me, I can answer you today and say the only thing we have discovered has been the collapse of strategic industrial sectors, strategic commercial sectors, and strategic domestic sectors.
So you're clearly not for removal of fuel subsidy. Even though people who have think tanks, by the time the president-elect said what he said on the campaign trail, at the time, I don't know where his mind is now, whether he's still in that direction. That must have been coming from the eggheads he has around the think tanks he has around.
Them, that 8 trillion naira. Today, there is anarchy because of lack of diesel. As I speak to you, sir, now, I am in this studio. I don't want to believe you are not running on diesel. At the cost of diesel today, tell me how you will break even. That is why you go to banks. They open up at 9 o'clock and close at 3. Everywhere is looking dark because these industrialists, they cannot afford the cost of diesel. As at last week, there were so many taxes. I'm also a tax analyst. If we go by those taxes, I'm telling you, Nigeria will collapse. And many people they think are big men, and they say they are subsidizing big men. Quote me. I'm also an auditor, apart from being a chartered accountant. So when you go to financial institutions like banks, most of the people you think are big men are bloody debtors. Because when you go, they are those responsible for the bad debts and bad loans. I am only telling you. So the fact that you see somebody in a big car or living in one serene estate, don't be surprised that how much that person is owing. The whole of his assets cannot pay 1/10 of the debt.
And it's not against the law. It's not against the law. Because that sounds like a scam.
No, it's a scam. And so we are talking about, when they are talking about 6 trillion, you will say that they have forgotten that as at 2 days ago, or some days ago, somebody who was minister for energy or power in Nigeria, within 2 years that he was there, he was supposed to take care of something that has to do with generation of electricity in Mambila. That guy worked how many billions? It is in this country some days ago or some months ago, somebody who was supposed to be the chief accountant of Nigeria, was alleged to have stolen billions. You will know where the criminals are. All you need to do, sir, if people like us are given a chance, what we will do to such people, we will pull off their flesh from the bones. Sir, we know.
No, you're angry.
So
You're angry
how much is 8 trillion naira and the anarchy? Sir, with due respect, I don't like mentioning names, but I will give examples. When NSAS took place in Lagos, I had the opportunity of being in a place called Bega, Ojodu Bega. Or let me say Bega Olora. Sir, if you see the number of brand new BRT buses that were burnt only there, they cost trillions. I'm not talking about Obalende. I'm not talking, that is what anarchy can cause.
Indeed.
And that one said it wasn't economic hardship. It wasn't a wrong decision that government took. What happened was there was just a clash between protesters and law enforcement agents. Whatever happened, we don't know. Look at the calamity. Not to talk of the one that we are talking about deliberately. Look at what, go to the aviation sector. Look at what is happening. Mass cancellation of flights, mass delay, and mass retrenchment.
You know, we hear, luckily you said that actually you bridge a number of...
And what if we were not even having crude oil at all?
Now, this is where
this is the thing.
Is in that area I wanted to sort of launch this question from. We've heard that because oil is our principal revenue earner, we're going to have to let go of the subsidy and then make up by getting much more serious with taxation, that kind of a thing you talk about.
I almost forgot addressing that. I'm happy you remind me. That is why I always appreciate you. You know, I've been to a place where people saw me and wanted to embrace me and thinking I was Yori. They noticed I had more gray hair. But I told them, yes, I'm his younger brother, even though I had more gray hairs. Sir, let me tell you, that is also another big deception that makes me to feel disappointed in most of the Nigerian technocrats that have reduced themselves to praise singers, saying Nigeria is a monoproduct economy. Tell me, let them show me how many countries, if we are monoproduct economy, let them show me. Is Libya, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Indonesia, Malaysia, Iran, are they product economies? Product economy? Are they tri? Are they tetra? Are they penta? Are they hexa? Are they hepta? Are they octa? Are they nona? Product economy is a lie. The whole of United Arab Emirates, as I speak to, I'm prepared for this today. I'm ready to have discussion, debate with anybody to the level of OPEC or gas exporting countries forum in the context of Nigeria. The whole of United Arab Emirates that you are seeing today, everything about United Arab Emirates or UAE, it was a desert. The only product they had was oil and gas. But when you go there, it is the creativity and dexterities that has made that place to look purely a tourist destination center. People go there for hospitality. Even Anthony Joshua, he went and reclaimed his title in sports. So you go there for medical treatment. So when we talk about dexterity,
just an expert and efficient use of the resources.
No, that is what we are saying. So it's not because you have monoproduct. If you go to Saudi Arabia, tell me any product that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has outside crude oil. But from only petrochemicals, they are in riches. Go to the Libya of Gaddafi. What was the Libya of Gaddafi having? Only crude oil. Go to Iran. What does Iran have? Go to Qatar. Some people went for World Cup. It's only one product. So it's not the amount of products that you have. It's your ability to transform that crude product, process it and crystallize it into viable product. And then when the revenues come, it is your duty to say, let us have a state-of-the-art kidney dialysis or center or transplant so that some of our legislators will not go and shame us outside. It is our duty to have kidney transplant centers, cesarean operations. It is our duty to have state-of-the-art schools so that we will not be losing on children going out for education.
Do we even know how much oil we actually are producing?
We can know it.
And we, because that seems to be a state secret.
No,
you're an auditor. Nobody apparently can ask, I want an accounting of how many barrels we lift.
Sir, let me tell you.
They say they don't
it's a lie. It's a lie. I will tell you how elementary it is. But do you know that shamelessly, as I speak to you right now, Angola of Cabinda has overtaken Nigeria. In terms of oil production, quote me that I said the whole of Angola's crude oil reserve is less than 13 billion barrels. The whole of Angola's proved gas reserve is less than 11 or 13 trillion cubic feet of gas. Angola has overtaken Nigeria. Nigeria has in excess of 36 billion barrels of crude oil. Barrel is the unit of crude oil measurement. And Nigeria has more than 200 trillion cubic feet of gas. That is proved.
But and when we say proved, most of it.
When we say proved, first of all, it means the basic tools you have now, you can use it to extract that. But potentially, Nigeria has about 600 trillion cubic feet of gas. Recently, we made discovery around Gombe. That area, in terms of geological basins, belongs to what we call Gongola Basin. About a month ago, drilling activity started around Nasarawa, that is Benue Trough. Even this Lagos I'm talking to you, Lagos belongs to the geological basin we call Dahomey Basin. There is oil. But what have we seen? We are not near Saudi Arabia in terms of growth and development. So, sir, I want to tell you that it is the management and crystallization. And when I hear...
You continue, sir, but Izzy has come on and is waiting. Good morning to you, Izzy, calling in from Bayelsa.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling in.
Your guest is so passionate about the oil issues in this country. And I can feel his pulse. It's quite unfortunate that with the wealth and endowment of crude oil given to us by God, first discovered in Bayelsa and commercial quantity in Noloribu, in Bayelsa State. Today you can see that the nation called Nigeria have mismanaged that resource.
Can you just give us some more volume so we can hear in studio?
But
we can't hear.
I believe that we should be able to harness available resources. This outgoing government promised us that they are going to set up a number of refineries. And the refineries actually were not there. They promised one refinery per year. 7.5 years down the line, none has been built. They are all hoping now that the Dangote refinery shamelessly will be commissioned on the 22nd of this month by our president, who promised us gloriously. Today is going to commission a refinery built by a private individual. A country as rich as Nigeria could not build a refinery. Our refineries are in comatose. The former minister promised that 4 refineries will come on stream. There are a lot of turnaround maintenance. My NGO have gone there for inspection, work on those refineries in top gear. What I call Yori and Kaduna are in top gear. But if we are looking at Dangote refinery, do we have the capacity, since we are not meeting our open quota, to be able to meet our local demand, to be able to crystallize how we can be able to get enough crude oil to service the Dangote and the 4 refineries when they come on stream? We must remove this subsidy so that we can begin to be focused in this country. We shouldn't be pampering ourselves. Nigeria as a nation has to look inwards, and we have to be focused in building capacity. Look at a country with over 133 million poor Nigerians wallowing in abjectly with no food to eat. Look at over 20 million of our children roaming the streets without attending good schools. Look at our poverty level. Look at underdevelopment. Look at lack of critical infrastructure in areas of health, housing, electricity, and the like. Then the country is about to transit. My only joy is that the incoming president, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, with his vast of experience and the years in the trench, being a Democrat, should be able to harness the right caliber of technocrats, seasoned politicians, and men with capacity to be able to think right, to be able to drag this country out of the present quagmire. The outgoing president has done his best. His best is glaring, not enough.
All right, then. Well, thank you very much for calling in, Izzy.
We're in a terrible situation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Izzy. I appreciate your call.
Let me quickly answer him. I was flowing with him, but I decided to be at variance with him when I had him say maybe subsidy removal will be a solution. That 6 trillion.
No, I thought he said we have to remove subsidy.
And that is why I'm saying, which is that I became opposite.
Okay.
Because it's wrong. I'm happy he's using the word Bayelsa. He knows the location you call Ekulama. He knows Nembe Creek. He knows Cowton Channel. He knows Alakiri. He knows the place we call River Non. He knows where we call Obricombe and the rest. He knows all these are oil producing areas. Ask him how good they are looking. Is it because they didn't remove subsidy on the only product remaining? What is happening is exploitation. If you go to those places, when we start talking...
He sees it as we're pampering ourselves.
No, we are not. The question is this. When you ask him, let him, I wish he can answer. Where is the benefit from what the subsidy you remove on the price of diesel, kerosene, and aviation fuel? And I'm telling him, those communities I mentioned, I've worked in all those areas. They are looking desolate. Is it because subsidy was not removed 20 years ago? That's why they are looking like that. And is it because you didn't? Okay, let all of them ask me. Is there no subsidy in Saudi Arabia? Is there no subsidy in Qatar? Was there no subsidy in the Libya of Gaddafi? In Malaysia, Indonesia? And let him ask me, let them answer.
But people might say that's not a fair comparison. Saudi
no,
Arabia.
It's a fair. We're
Saudi
talking
Arabia
about
being,
oil.
Yeah.
They belong to the same cartel. Sir, the reason why people belong to associations is because when you have common problems, like professional organizations, you mentioned 1 or 2 professional organizations I belong to. Technically, I may not be sound, but when a problem or somebody confronts me with a question, I will throw it to my colleagues. So when you ask, why is it that vandalism is not in any of those countries?
Okay.
If you go to Saudi Arabia or Libya, Iran, Iraq or Qatar, they will not lose 1 barrel of crude oil or 1 standard cubic feet of gas. Please, we should tell ourselves. I've given an example of Lagos.
Yes, but
with the disaster. That 6 trillion naira is nothing compared to the anarchy that this country will be thrown into. We're deceiving ourselves.
Reverend Dominic, good morning to you, sir. Thank you for holding on.
Good morning, Yori. Good morning, my friend Bala.
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yori, for a few days now, if you can hear me, I've been having nightmares. And you
what about?
Why? Yes.
What about? Nightmares about what?
About every time I remember that it would take less than 3 weeks for Buhari to leave office, my heart will shake and I will have a nightmare. That Buhari we fought for. I'm saying this based in my friend and his passion. That in my friend and his passion, he said that if you make him the minister of oil, things will be better. But there's a problem in Nigeria that makes things not to work. If Buhari could govern Nigeria, why we voted for him in 2015? Because he was a minister of petroleum many years ago. He was a chief of the petroleum task force. We say Buhari come to power, knowing the terrain very well, he will make things better and our refinery will work. If I wake up every day, there's about 2-3 weeks for him to leave, and the whole refinery is not working, I have a nightmare. Number 2, Yori, there's blood every day. We are talking about war. There are 2 million IDP camps in Benue alone. 2 million people in IDP camps. We are not in war because of insecurity. I say this for this. My friend Bala is an expert, and he has the same passion I have. But the question is this: if we make Bala today Minister of Petroleum, could think work? I don't believe so because there's a cabal who doesn't want God Nigeria to work. And when they go into government, they paralyze you. Ask my friend, the former spokesperson to Jonathan, Dr. Abati. Dr. Abati came to outside government and said truth to power. That governance in Nigeria is like witchcraft. You think A and you get B. What I'm trying to say is this. Why is it that we're talking about subsidy, and we cannot make our foreign refiners work? In Saudi Arabia, in Libya at work, the refiners are working. Now we're talking about creating jobs. The refiners can create jobs, Wari can create jobs, Potako can create jobs when we make them work. But nobody's looking out there. I don't even believe in governance in Nigeria again. And I've stopped protesting. My wife told me that the day you die, we'll bury you.
No. Thank you very much for calling in, Reverend Dominic. I got to go on a break now.
But before we go on, which state is he from? Imo? Did you say from Imo State? So that I will mention oil fields in Imo State. If he's from Anambra or Abia, if he's from Imo, let anybody tell me if the Egbema of Imo State, if the Naze of Imo State, if all these Uguta, all these places are oil fields, how are they looking?
That's the point that's been consistent.
We will break these things down.
You've been consistent about that. Say, go to all those areas and tell us how good they are looking.
In 23 years now, we've not been able to construct a single refinery.
Saudi, Qatar, and all these places you've mentioned don't have similar situations that we have in Nigeria.
And we are members of the same association.
Okay, stay with us, please.
Gas or oil.
We'll be right back.
Crude oil.
Okay, we'll be right back and we'll keep on.
Coming up in the month of May, the 1st is International Workers' Day, the 3rd is World Press Freedom Day, on the 5th is the 13th anniversary of President Yar'Adua's demise in 2010, while from 12th to 16th of May are days dedicated as United Nations Global Road Safety Week. The 16th of May is International Day of the Boy Child. World Hypertension Day is on the 17th, and on the 27th is Children's Day. 29th of May is Nigeria's Inauguration Day, the commencement of a new 4-year tenure of another administration. On the 31st is World No Tobacco Day. Brace yourself and tune in to TVC News for special reports and analyses on these days.
The National Assembly is a busy place. As the bastion of democracy, it is a place where bills are presented, motions debated, laws made, and the yearnings of the people are laid bare. Come with us as we take you through the workings of the National Assembly. We take you through plenary, committee meetings, and probes, all to ensure smooth working of the democratic process.
Okay, welcome back, and our guest is Comrade Bala Zaka, oil and gas analyst among a handful of professions. Thank you very much for being in here. Your passion is, it's palpable, and you are not in agreement with the state of affairs in the petrochemical sector, the petroleum sector, and all of that. So, what would you do is probably the most logical question, because you are not satisfied with what has been done so far.
Never.
You think that there's so much potential that hasn't been tapped. So in brief, how would you go about it that is different? But let me add Mr. Akinyemi, who has called in, so that that can be a way, because I know that you're going to take more than 30 seconds to answer the question.
No
so good morning, Mr. Akinyemi.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you for calling.
It's my pleasure speaking to this panel. And my prayer for our incoming president-elect. Good morning, sir.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. It's my pleasure even talking to this TVC station today. And I really...
There seems to be a lot of background noise. I don't know if Mr. Akinyemi is still there. Okay, see if you can get us back. There was background noise, and that might have tripped something. Yes. So what would you do?
Right, before that, let me start right from the petroleum industry bill. We got so many things wrong. If you do, and to me today, it is the media that is the last hope of the common man. The reason why I say so is because you keep dossier of people who have made promises to fix the Nigerian oil and gas industry, to fix our roads, our medical systems, and you have their records. Any of them that brings up his head, remind us. Sir, it's very simple. Very elementary, very elementary. This problem can be fixed. One thing about problems or even sicknesses is that even if you cannot cure it, know the exact problem. But it's only in Nigeria you cannot be able to solve the problems of vandalism. You cannot trace the criminals. You cannot be able to solve the problems of more illegal refineries. You cannot trace the criminal. Very simple.
That's beginning to suggest a kind of collaboration,
the solutions.
Right?
Yes.
Okay, but before you go, Mr. Kiemi got back in. Mr. Kiemi, you back in? No. So sorry about that.
Sir, all you need for people who did basic secondary school, there is what we call flow chart. One thing about flow chart, I will give two examples. One thing about flow chart is you have start and you have an end. Between start and end, you have that system where you must have decision boxes or process boxes and algorithm. What that simply means is this: if you put your crude oil up there and you want to, I'm talking about refineries now, and you expect to see products at the end here, whether people like it or not, if you put the necessary experts, by the time they check their process boxes or decision boxes, they must know the problem. They must know the reason why you are not getting to the end. In the context of Nigeria, sir, with due respect, I don't intend to be rude. If you deploy the right oil and gas economists, oil and gas lawyers, oil and gas environmentalists, oil and gas engineers, oil and gas accountants, and even oil and gas journalists, and they decide to go in, they will tell you why something is blocking the system from getting to the end. Another example, let me just give human digestive system, sir. If you put food up there through the throat, you will expect that the food will come out at the end. If somebody is not able to excrete and the food is not coming out, if you congregate the right doctors, they must tell you what the problem is. If it is the kidney or the intestine. But in the context of Nigeria, with simple flowchart principle and technology, we can. Before I came here, I spoke to more than 5 Nigerians. Some are working in petrochemical factories, some are working in refineries, and some are process engineers, some are even drilling engineers overseas. I discussed with them before we got here. A barrel of crude oil cannot get missing.
Mr. Olushola in the UK, good morning to you.
Good morning, Mr. Lori.
Good morning. Please go ahead.
Good. Yeah. Right. Well, the reason I called in is to comment about the program.
The line has gone shaky. Are you in motion or something? Oh dear. We can't hear you well. Your voice is all trembling, and I know that's not you. So we can't hear you. You know, the line is shaky. So sorry about that.
Let me shock you. Let me shock you with something. Let me shock you. If you look at everybody, most of the praise singers and technocrats, all of them are trying to still justify why we should keep importing. But I will shock you, sir. They want Nigeria to be reduced to a country where you produce so much beans. But every time you want to buy akara or moimo, you will go to somebody who does not cultivate beans. This kind of people want Nigeria to be reduced to a country where you produce so much cassava. Every time you need gari or cassava flour, you will go to somebody who does not cultivate cassava. But let me tell you the worst and the satanic part, if we listen to them. If we keep on importing, sir, even the Dangote, I'm personal, even Dangote refinery will crash. Ask me how. It's very simple. Do you know the amount of monies that Dangote invested there? How much he paid for compensation? How much he paid for road construction? How much he paid to put those facilities? If Dangote refinery is there now and you allow some people, importation continues, some people will only carry briefcase, collect import license, and they will talk to their friends. Those people will just send in these refined petroleum products and they will be making their margins.
Okay, I'm going to come
when
back.
Will Dangote
I'm going to come back to this point that you are making, but let me quickly bring Ada in. Good morning, Ada in Jos.
No, calling from Jos, Plateau State. Good morning to your guest, Balaji. I like listening to him. I'm so happy he has talked about the Dangote thing, because that was one of the questions I wanted to ask him, that if that refinery comes out, do you think it will work in Nigeria? And I'm happy I answered my question. Now, let me tell you something, Mr. Yori. I agree with that. The problem in Nigeria is that we are saying we're knowing the problem. We know the problem. There is no political will to fight the problem. Who are the people who are stealing the oil? Is it you and I? It's not something you can just steal anyhow, And because they are up there, nobody is punishing anybody. Borders are so porous. The first we say we're even consuming. I don't even believe it. I'm not in their distance, but I know that even as a layperson, we are not even consuming that quantity of oil in the first instance. And most of the fuel we are subsidizing for people outside. They go there, sell it to the neighboring countries where the price differential is very much, That's the problem we have, is the corruption in it. So even the Tinubu that performs, we don't see the magic one. If the corruption is not stopped, if the oil service is not stopped, we are going to continue having this problem. So that's the problem. So there's a lot of fraud in this fuel subsidy thing. And then to what matters is that even the parameters they want to use in questioning is like, it's even fraudulent. And then today I saw in the streaming headline, they all have hardship allowance for themselves, running into trillions. And then they have inflicted hardship on the citizens. And yet they have hazard allowance. Only God will help us in this country. All the semblance give up for Nigeria, all the agenda.
Thank you very much, Ada, for calling in. Now you've said a lot.
No, I'm just warming up.
I can imagine for you, but you've said plenty, and a lot of it is pointing towards self-inflicted harm.
Exactly.
Self-inflicted harm, if indeed you are accurate.
You've just reminded me. If it is not self-inflicted harm, explain to me, sir. The last time Nigeria constructed a refinery was around 1989 and 1990. Let's assume it was 1990. From 1990 to now, you're talking about 33 years. The generation of Nigerian leaders that we inherited didn't deem it fit to maintain even the refineries they inherited. Not to talk about constructing new ones. Do we need anybody to tell us that we'll run into energy crisis? Is that the way Libya was behaving? Is that the way Saudi Arabia was behaving? You don't need anybody to tell you that will be what you technically call self-inflicted injury. Another thing again that you talk, how do you expect a country of 200 million citizens to be relying on a product whose raw material they have? What is even the meaning of value chain? What is the technical and economic meaning of crystallization? What do you mean? What is the meaning of value addition? When you talk about those things, it means look for something crude, process it. When you process it, it becomes something viable and you use.
You are not talking, you seem to be talking about not a lack of competency to do this job. No. That's not. Sabotage.
Exactly.
Is internal sabotage, yes. And everyone seems to be in on it because
some people, those who have the powers, are pretending, because along our value chain, processing line of crystallization, we have economic vampires. We have economic marauders, we have economic traitors and betrayers. And I'm telling you, they are only along this chain, yes, and constituting a clog on the wheel of progress, because those who have the economic and political powers allow them to be there.
Of course, the natural question for a guy who doesn't know anything about it is, why are they allowed? That's where collusion comes in.
And let me explain.
That's where an allegation of collusion comes in. Okay, but let me check this time whether Mr. Akinyemi has come back or not. Do you know the told us he has come back? Mr. Akinyemi, is it you?
Thank you, sir. It's me. It's me. Actually, okay. It's me, sir. Okay. Thank you. I really appreciate you, sir.
Please carry on.
Hello. Okay, thank you. My own take are all this. I really appreciate the way PVC are doing things. You carry along everybody on your own program. And I really appreciate you for doing that. And I want to emphasize my own concern to our new incoming president-elect, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I will not want him to make the mistake that Buhari-led administration has made at the past. A nation whereby there's a hungers, everybody was starvation, everything, insecurity, and whatever. We are suffering from all those kind of ailments. Instead of them to borrow money and repair our refinery, if assuming they have borrowed that money to repair our refineries now, maybe we have about 5 or 6 refineries working. As at now, I thought that money would have been paying back to the refinery repair.
Okay.
That
all right.
means all the fuel that we are producing through that refinery now will be generating more money into Nigeria's account and will be paying back those debts through what we have established with the money.
Okay.
But now, you say you took all the money, you repair all the roads. What has the road put in place for us? I know it is really important for us to have a good road. But something that's supposed to come at second, you brought it as the first thing on our table.
Okay.
That is why
you're saying that our priorities are wrong. Thank you very much, Mr. Akemi. Really appreciate your call. Now, what he's saying,
I got him completely.
Yes, and it seems logical enough.
But no, it's not intelligent enough, and the reality and so elementary. The solution.
But that's not what we're doing.
No, let me. He was talking about the poverty, the poverty index in Nigeria, sir. The minimum wage in Nigeria today is 30,000 Nigerian naira. There are some who cannot.
There's no other kind.
Some even who are not even paying up to that. Sir, in Nigeria today, the minimum wage of Nigeria, monthly minimum wage, cannot buy a 50-kilogram bag of rice. The minimum wage in Nigeria today cannot buy a 50-liter jerry can of diesel. And quote me, regardless of the countries. When I hear some people will say in some countries they pay dollars, this, so many cents per liter. Go and find out the minimum wage. So, let me answer quickly.
That table has been put out, and it has been shown that Nigeria's gas, what Americans call gas, Nigeria's petrol is the cheapest.
Is the cheapest. What is the minimum wage there? And what is the minimum wage of Nigeria? Put them side by side. Sir, any country, whether those places they call gas, where the entire monthly minimum wage of the citizen, any country, even the poorest country, if the monthly minimum wage cannot buy a 50-kilogram bag of rice in that country is in trouble. That is the simple thing. If it cannot buy a 50-liter jerry can of diesel, that country is in trouble. And sir, let me tell you, the minimum wage in Nigeria today has been eroded. Let me explain the GDP of Nigeria today. The first one is what we call the consumption index. Consumption index is down because the disposable income of Nigerian citizens have been eroded by inflation. That's one. When you go to the investment index is down because investors are suffering from business climate hostilities. If you go to what we call statement of income and expense, after gross profit, the next thing you need to do before you get to your profit before tax, you look at your expenses, check the cost of energy there. Check the cost of energy. It has whacked up everything. When you go to the investment index and government is always complaining that they don't have what do we call it, money. But the worst part that I'm surprised we cannot confront our government and reverse the direction is the export-import differential. Nigeria today is doing more of importation, and it is affecting our forex. And you are telling us, first of all, instead of us to fight and get the refineries fixed, whether private or whatever, some people want us to still be managing importation. And you know the effect on export-import differential equation and the GDP and what it is going to do to forex.
And as if this was all of this if all of this wasn't bad enough, we still have the matter of oil threat, the unending oil threat. We will talk about that.
And bloody illegal refineries.
Let me quickly bring in Mr. Yakubu. Good morning, Mr. Yakub.
Yeah, excuse me. Are you hearing me, sir?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Saka.
Morning, sir.
Usually, I think I totally agree with Mr. Saka. And then I hope Ashwad Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the president-elect, if not him personally watch this program, I think the ally will be watching this program this morning. I think they need somebody like Balasaka, and then your guys. And then I want to hope that he find this dim fit to write open letter to Ashwa Bola Ahmed Tinubu concerning this very particular issue that we are discussing this morning. You know why? Mr. Balasaka has been on this show for a while. I've been following him up and down from TVC to channel to every station. He continues to say the same thing because he knows what he's saying. And then he knows the problem that's facing the oil and gas in this country. Please, I want to tell you, sir, if you have never written open letter to Ashwa Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the president, please do so because I can see that you really know what you are talking about because Ashwa Bola Ahmed Tinubu did say, he told the labor organization in this country prior to that election that whether you like it or not, go and toss your placard to protest. I'm going to remove the subsidy. He said so.
Yeah.
And then he even told them that, and then I'm going to win this election. And then he did win this election. I voted for it. A lot of Nigerians voted for it. And then he has won the election. Now, I want to ask Mr. Balasaka, do you support or do you remove this fuel subsidy for Ashwa Bola Ahmed Tinubu? And that is just no support.
It's clear.
Never.
Yes.
And
said
just
no.
because of what you said, tomorrow,
what do you think he needs to do to make it possible for Nigerian citizens not to go on protest? And then we all know that the first subsidy of the thing is a little people that enjoy this.
All right then. Thank you very much, Mr. Yaku. I'm sorry to rush you a bit because I did want you to touch for a little while on the whole matter about stealing.
I would address that quickly.
Yes.
Let me also tell you, just because of what he said, tomorrow, there is this confusion between Labour Party and Nigeria Labour Congress. Tomorrow, I will be a guest of Nigeria Labour Congress to discuss on this thing.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, all the people that are saying we are subsidizing consumption, they don't know what they are talking. Because what you think is a consumption to you is a catalyst that will help somebody to reach an end. In fact, I was discussing with a clergyman, and I was telling him, I said, you preach to people. He said, yes. I said, to you, they are consuming. But to them, it's not consumption. It is what they need to become better people. So when I hear people saying you are subsidizing consumption, to you, that generator man, you are subsidizing petrol for him. But for the generator, that generator man or that business center man or that hairdressing salon person, it is that petrol that you think you are subsidizing consumption. If that person just need it as a part of his or her business crystallization process. So people should not always. If I
talk to me a bit about stealing, the unending oil.
That is another.
We have more than 60 seconds for that.
No problem. First of all the OPEC member nations, there is no crude oil stealing. Somebody should prove me wrong. All the gas nations that Nigeria is a member of, there is no crude oil stealing. So it tells you. And all these bodies, cartels, Nigeria can go to them for advice. As at June last year, a Nigerian was the OPEC Secretary General, late Sanusi Barkindo, for almost 7 years. It tells you something is wrong with the governance structure of Nigeria. In terms of stealing, it's a shame. It's a shame because I remember that some years ago, Dr. Okonjo-Iweala said Nigeria was losing about 400,000 barrels of crude oil per day. The unit of crude oil is called barrels. When you come, 42 gallons is equals to 1 barrel. Then 4 liters is is equals to 4 liters is equals
1 gallon, Abi.
1 gallon. When you multiply that, you will get about 60-something million liters of crude oil that Nigeria was losing. But let me tell you
on a daily basis.
When I divided that by the capacity of a 33-liter tanker, I discovered that based on what she said, Nigeria was losing an average of 2,000 tankers to thieves daily.
Every day.
And my summary, yes, it is not possible. But even if it was happening, which I believe the IOCs were suffering from, then it was a well-crafted, a well-syndicated criminality. And if you look at it, even with the passage of the Petroleum Industry Act, has the crude oil stealing stopped? What happened recently? It was a gathering of stakeholders that stopped it. So even the time spent on that PIA and other things, where are the investors?
We're going to have to
where are they
with these open-ended questions?
Allowing this thing, they want to sing the incoming government and deceive it because the anarchy will be 10 times more than that. 8 trillion or 6 trillion naira that they are looking through the aperture of ignorance.
If subsidy is removed,
yeah,
which you are counseling against.
Never. They shouldn't try it.
Well, Mr. Bala, Comrade Bala, it's not Mr. It has to be Comrade Balazaka, oil and gas analyst.
Where they will call me Comrade tomorrow, NLC.
I want to thank you very much, and at least scratching the surface for us, because you need hours to really exhaustively talk about this.
You should organize it.
Indeed.
It's a national thing to help the incoming government to get it right.
So thank you very much for this.
No worries, sir.
Our appreciation.
Thank you, sir.
That's our program today. Please join us on Monday for a fresh edition. I'm Yori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.
Never miss a moment. Instant breaking news from all over the globe. Live streaming of your favorite programs delivered directly to you. Watch anytime from anywhere.